8:01? I didn't realize it. Okay. Get this here. Okay. Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Village Council, the Village of Ridgewood. This is a regular public meeting. The date is November 10th, 2021, and the time is 8:01 p.m. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by a posting on the bulletin board in Village Hall, by mail to the Ridgewood News, the Record, and by submission to all persons entitled to same as provided by law of a schedule, including the date and time of this meeting. Roll call.
Councilwoman Perrin.
Here.
Councilwoman Reynolds.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Seaton.
Here.
Mayor Knudsen.
Here. Please join us for the flag salute. Please join us in a moment of silence for our men and women serving our nation, our first responders, and in gratitude for our veterans, veterans of foreign wars. Thank you. Okay, thank you. I move the bills, claims, and vouchers and statements of funds on hand as of October 31st, 2021 be accepted as submitted.
Second.
Perrin.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
And Knudsen.
Yes. I move that the Village Council minutes of October 13th, 2021, having been reviewed by the Village Council, now available in the Village Clerk's office, be approved as submitted.
Second.
Perrin.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
And Knudsen.
Yes. Okay, and with that, we will go to public comment. We have no resolutions tonight, right? No proclamations. And so with that, we will go to public comment, not to exceed 3 minutes per person for a total of 40 minutes. Come to the microphone. I'm sorry?
You're kind of hard to hear. Is that just me?
No, public comment. Lee, you can come to the microphone and make a comment. Name and address for the record.
I just said it's hard to hear you.
I know, it's weird.
All right. So it's public comment. All right. Hang on, gang. Just relax a moment. It is time for public comment, not to exceed 3 minutes per person. Please come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. You got it, Lee?
That was much better.
Jumping in. Lee Warren, 140 Washington Place. I have a couple issues. Not issues. I have a question. Who do you talk to about a school? I live across from GW, and lately I've been up late at night. Anyway, it sounds like 16 buses are there idling. And so I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning yesterday and found out it's the new exhaust or something on the new part of the building on the roof is running. Maybe there's a clog in it or something, but it's like, and it is so loud. It's so, I don't know who to take that to.
This is public comment, but I'll just real quick. I think we have a meeting Friday morning, BOE, so we'll bring it to them.
Thank you. Okay, now the other thing I'm here about is pickleball. I was asked to play pickleball years ago, and I said, I'm not playing such a stupid game, pickleball. Pickleball. Who names the game pickleball? So I didn't play. Then over time, I lost an ankle. Hopefully tomorrow I find out that I'm going to get a new ankle. And someone said, come try pickleball. Well, I could play pickleball with my limited mobility. I could feel alive again. And these hours that we have, I get it. You know, no one likes anything in their backyard all the time. But we kind of need Mondays and Fridays to get a couple hours back. We can give back some hours. Maybe, I know it's removed from the thing tonight because it was, but maybe we could get a group together and discuss where we can come to a common group thought on this. Because, as I said, I live across from GW. I don't know if you've all been there on a weekend. Close to 100 kids playing basketball. They start arriving at 6:30. I was going to bring a basketball, but remembered this was carpeted. But if you can imagine the boom, boom, boom of a basketball at 6 a.m. every single Saturday and Sunday, it makes my hair stand up. I hate basketball, but I don't complain because I bought my house where it is. There was no basketball there when I bought it. It was a field behind there. That was paved over, and basketball and a new gym was put in. But I don't complain. We seem to be giving in to people who have problems. This is so bad. Who have problems.
You have to go into the microphone, it's recorded.
Who have problems with pickleball and the noise. But at the same time, we could ask all those houses right over there right now if they're happy with the happy screams of children at this hour at night. We could ask everyone who lives next to Stevens, do you want those people playing soccer, lacrosse, football, and every sport every single day of the year? I'm sure they would like a couple days off. But we don't. We have to look at the better good. That I'm happy that these kids aren't at home on a video game. People should be happy that people of all ages are out and about. I've met some people here.
Lee, I'm sorry.
All right, but I just want to let you know that an 82-year-old woman kicked my ass in pickleball. How awesome is that? And she could kick anyone's derriere, and she happens to be here. I'm just saying.
Good evening, Council. My name is Gail Howard, and my address is 652 Eastbrook Road. I'd like to read you some excerpts from a Village Council meeting that was held in December 11th, 2019. At that time, the pickleball court was open for hours that are very similar to those that are currently being proposed. The family that I am quoting lived in Ridgewood for over 30 years and enjoyed the peace and quiet in their neighborhood until last year. Their property abuts the Glen School property, and their house is approximately 70 feet from the courts. Ms. Beckett stated that the Village Council does not know what it's like waking up to hearing the sound of gunshot-like pops which never seem to end from 8 a.m. till dusk every day of the week. The intensity of the sounds are followed by the screams of enthusiasm and encouragement to go and do it again. Ms. Beckett asked that the Village Council to imagine that they worked all day and then the pickleballers would come, which means that the neighbors cannot escape the sound in or around the house, and they can't hear when they can't hear the ball banging against the paddle. Ms. Beckett says it is torturous, and that is what constant noise pollution does. It tortures you. Mr. Beckett said, forget about raising your children and babysitting your grandchildren in this type of environment. The inescapable sounds of pickleball and its players are detrimental to their neighbors' health, wealth, and property values. Now, 2 years later, this is exactly what we feel as the current Glen neighbors. The pickleball hours that are now in effect are not perfect, but they are a compromise and one that we can live with until a more suitable location for a pickleball court can be identified and a new pickleball court constructed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi, Andy Verity, 111 Sherwood Road. I'm also going to speak about pickleball. Just briefly to respond to this individual's comments. Number one, a very extensive sound test was conducted by a professional using sophisticated equipment. The sound test was completed with 16 individuals playing competitive pickleball at Glen. And the sound test professional concluded that pickleball passed the sound test with flying colors, meaning the sound generated from pickleball play was easily within acceptable suburban noise limits. Complainers like this individual, I think there's a grand total of about 4 or 5 of them, and certain council members want to pretend the sound test never occurred. They want to bury the sound test. But this to me is totally unacceptable. And what's concerning to me is that I recently learned that 3 of the complainers, 3 of the neighbors, live a block or more from the pickleball courts. You know, I mean, why should we be giving credence to these individuals, especially since the sound test was easily passed? And further, there's a house right adjacent to the pickleball court, and even that house passed the sound test. And what really surprises me is that the person who bought that home purchased the home when the pickleball courts were already there and operational. He bought the home with the full understanding that there was a pickleball court next door. I live right next to the Willard schoolyard. The sound levels there have increased dramatically since I moved in. There's new playgrounds being built. There's new sports being competed. But that's the nature of Ridgewood. We're evolving. We grow. And I think it's wonderful. And the sad thing is that, you know, I made a decision to purchase a home next to a noisy schoolyard. That was my decision. I could have paid more money and moved a couple of blocks away. I did not. So I accept the noise level. I accept the fact that more playgrounds and increased sports make people happy. And from a legal standpoint, the age discrimination issue exists. I mean, you can't deny that. I mean, I'm an attorney. I do pro bono work for the New York City Bar Association. Any type of discrimination I find to be extremely offensive. And that's exactly what's happening here. The senior pickleball players are being discriminated against by having their hours limited, while the much younger tennis players have unlimited access to tennis courts. This to me is blatant discrimination, and it's an embarrassment to the town. I think there's one other point that, you know, even the appearance of discrimination by a town should raise concerns. And I could tell you that within Ridgewood and surrounding communities, there is the understanding that Ridgewood discriminates against its seniors. And that's very embarrassing.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you for your time and good night.
Okay.
Hi, Siobhan Cram, Winograd 274 Ivy Place. I'm here to talk about something else, but I did want to say thank you, Lee, for hosting my son playing basketball. I very much appreciate it, and I agree. I think our schools remained open and allowed our students to experience parks, and I think our town should do the same for the seniors. I find it crazy that all the kids were able to disrupt that neighborhood for COVID. I mean, there was 12 hours of basketball, and we have not afforded our seniors the same. Instead, we locked them out of the park. With that being said, I'm here to talk about the agenda and Shedler. I'm going to go quickly. So I think it's a great thing that the berm is on the agenda, and I think it's a great thing that the financials are being disclosed. It's moving in the right direction. But I have some concerns because while we're doing this in parts, we should at this point have a comprehensive plan, which we don't. Last year during the budget, and by comprehensive plan I mean one that you agree with and the state agrees with, and we don't have an approval on all 7 acres, yet we're moving forward with elements of it. I think it's a good thing that we're moving forward with elements, but you cannot manage what you cannot measure, and this is not measurable because you don't know where you're headed. You may think you have an idea of what this park is, but because you've turned over oversight to the state agency, you don't. The other concern that I have is that good governance relies on citizen engagement. There's no way around it. And this berm and these steps forwards, no one knows. I mean, unless you seek the agenda, follow it, no one knows. Your Parks Committee doesn't know. Your Fields Committee doesn't know. And, you know, I don't know if you took the steps to notify the neighbors, but even citizens who've been writing since the fallout of the original $2.5 million ask in last year's budget, we don't know. This project's gone on too long. 13 years is too long. It's been limited. And, you know, I'm not here to dispute the money. Parks cost money. But we need to know what's going on. And that's not really happening. The other thing is that there's been no outreach to other neighbors that have a vested interest. As you know, I'm a neighbor of the Woodside Park area, and our park was stolen in the 80s, and you have to replace it, and that's a fact. And, you know, I don't speak formally for the neighborhood, but part of that replacement includes a climbing structure. And my neighborhood has come here. We've never been engaged. We've offered to host at my house. We've offered to participate. And I think the sentiment would be, in speaking of the collective, if the climbing structure can't come back to our neighborhood, maybe it'd be better to be in Shedler. And that's what's missing, because the comprehensive plan's not approved. So we can't deal with our missing park. You have a disgruntled neighborhood that's been, basically never engaged. And you have Shedler without a comprehensive plan. I do feel like you guys are so close, but the ignoring of citizens and shutting the door on the process, the ad hoc committee doesn't know about this, and you need to take the steps
Thank you.
forward to make a comprehensive plan. Thank you.
Warwick Halliday, 1 Franklin Avenue, and again, I urge you to speak directly into the microphone. Otherwise, I suggest you find a couple of bucks somewhere where you can put the speakers on your clothing, because when you start looking at each other, we can't hear you back there. Anyway, as far as Shedler, I beg you not to spend one more penny on Shedler until we can come up with a comprehensive plan. Just doing it in fits and starts just does not make sense. And that berm is such a ridiculous idea that if you do vote to spend more money on it, then I will suggest that you pass an ordinance that you name the berm after the council, so that forever people will remember how such a silly thing had taken place. So just stop spending money on Shedler. Now, the whole thing about Shedler is it's a bit of a scam, frankly. Now, we talk about the Shedler house as being the John H. Zabriskie house. How much of that house was built by Mr. John H. Zabriskie? 5%? 10%? No one knows. No one knows. But yet, it sounds great. And one thing I can tell you, that Mr. John Zabriskie, obviously a farmer in the mid-19th century, did he have copper gutters on his house? Copper gutters that cost 5 times as much as regular gutters. What a waste of money. Of course, you're spending my money. You're not spending your own money. Same thing with the Marvin windows. Did he have Marvin windows? The most expensive windows in the market? No, he did not. So I urge you to spend not one more penny on Shedler until we can have truly a comprehensive plan that people will agree to. Doing it in fits and starts on the cheap does not make sense. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? No.
Excuse me. Hi, this is Judy Mack, residing at 330
I'm sorry,
Eastbrook.
could you just pull the microphone
Sorry.
down so we can, and state your name and address for the
Yeah.
record?
Judy Mack, 330 Eastbrook Road. So I just wanted, I spoke here last week, but I just wanted to kind of restate that all of Bergen County knows about the Ridgewood pickleball courts, and the data shows that more than half of the people who play at the Glen courts are non-Ridgewood residents. It's impossible to enforce who comes and goes at the Glen courts because no one is there to monitor the courts. So people come and go as they please. It's a free-for-all. It doesn't really matter at all if people bought the house in the neighborhood 40 years ago, as some of the neighbors are here, or a year ago. These pickleball courts should never have been here in the first place, located 45 to 100 feet from residential homes. These courts need to be relocated away so that no one will be under distress when pickleball players are having fun. For the pickleball players, each player may come and go and play 1 to 2 hours a day, but for the neighbors, we have to endure the unbearable sound for 5 days a week, 8 hours a day currently. It used to be 7 days a week from morning to dusk. So please do not vote to make this more horrible for us than what it is currently. I asked the pickleball players, instead of wasting your energy fighting with each other, because we're not against the pickleball playing against you or anyone, we should work together to ask the council and the town to relocate the courts so that you can play 7 days a week as long as you like. Even currently, there are courts you can play at in Bel Air. There are courts that you used to play in YMCA and other locations when these courts were not here 2 years ago. So Glen is not the only place on earth and in Ridgewood for you to play pickleball. But for us, it makes a huge difference. And lastly, I'm asking the council to please come up with a plan and timeline to relocate these courts away from Glen. Thank you.
Thank you. You can come on up. Your name and address for the record.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Dr. Kashyap, a retired orthopedic surgeon that has lived in Ridgewood for 34 years. This is my first time I'm attending a village council meeting. And guess what made me do that? I am an avid tennis player that has enjoyed the courts of Ridgewood, Glen, Monroe, High School, Bel Air, for the longest time I can remember. Unfortunately, I had a stroke a year and a half ago, and I said to myself, how will I survive? And God bless Ridgewood for having invested and the foresight to build pickleball courts in the town of Ridgewood that I love to live in. So here I am, a pickler in the town of Ridgewood, and I have made a ton of new friends. We have a nice gang that gets together, plays for about 2 hours in the morning, and we are gone. And we play that on Saturday and Sunday according to the town rules, and we follow all the laws. And yes, noise is an issue not just for pickleball. It's an issue for the lawnmowers. It's the issue. My daughter moved from Montclair to Ridgewood on Hillcrest 2 months ago. And she said, Pa, the train goes by and the hooting, I can't take it. I said, well, welcome to Ridgewood. We have noise at all levels, but we have learned to live as a community. And I wish that the NIMBY phenomena, not in my backyard, is going to be not applied so that the pickleball courts get demolished. It's a good investment the town made. You built a bridge. Now you're asking, take a detour? What did you build the bridge for? To cross over to a happy place. Please, let the pickleball keep going.
Thank you. Anyone else? Nope.
Gladys Chenetz, 632 Eastbrook Road, Ridgewood. I have been living in my house since February of 1970. I am here to register my opposition to the extension of playing hours on the pickleball courts at the Glen School. Late last year through the beginning of this year, we neighbors, along with representatives from the Ridgewood group of people who play pickleball, and including members of this council, spent many hours, days, and weeks working to come to a compromise acceptable to all. The agreement allowed the players 45 hours and 5 days of play at the Glen courts, reduced from all day, indefinite hours, 7 days a week of play. So, this is not about whether people should or should not play pickleball. It is only about the hours of use at the Glen courts. It is cruel to suggest that because the homes are near a field or a court, then that home should be subjected to noise all of the time. And it is disrespectful to the homeowners for the players to tell the nearby residents that noise isn't so loud, or you bought your house near a field or a court, so this is what you get. The controversy regarding pickleball noise in communities around the country, if not around the world, is loud and clear. More people than just the Glen Court neighbors are disturbed by the noise. If more hours are added to play, then during outdoor weather, neighbors of the Glen Courts will never be able to enjoy their outdoor space, and sometimes not even their indoor space. I am asking all the members of the Village Council to look at this situation from the point of view of the tax-paying residents near the Glen Field. The players are mobile and can play anywhere. We residents are not. Please vote to save our sanity, our finances, and our neighborhood. A point, if I have time. Number one, neighbors were never informed or asked about the courts being converted to pickleball courts. 2, the sound permeates triple-pane, soundproof windows. And 3, people have left the neighborhood because of this. 3 homes abutting the courts sold so far this year. So you are not only negatively affecting our health and daily lives, but you are also negatively affecting our financial lives by negatively affecting our property values. This should not be the image that Ridgewood wishes to project. Thank you.
My name is Alan Chenetz. I'm also from 632 Eastbrook Road in Ridgewood. You just heard from my wife, and I'm here to speak in support of my wife, which I think is a pretty good idea. I'm a physician. I've served at Valley Hospital for over a half century, and I come to you with a list which I believe is fair to say that it can comprise the effects of noise pollution, which those of us, including our friends, who abut the court, where pickleball is played 8 to 12 hours, 5 days a week, with series of cannon shots that are continuous. So the list includes, if you don't think that it can have mental and physical consequences, think again. Headaches, hearing loss, lightheadedness, anxiety, chronic rage, which is what I feel tonight and have felt for a very long time as a result of the consequences of many of the decisions that are made in this town. Chronic stress, which leads to high blood pressure, which leads to cardiac consequences, rapid heart rate, irregular heartbeat, potential fainting, strokes, congestive heart failure, kidney damage, all of which are a consequence of what you so far have inflicted upon us. It is not right. It is not fair. Nobody is asking that the pickleball games not be played. What we're asking for is for you to come up with creative solutions that are fair and acceptable to all concerned parties. You are inflicting physical and mental harm upon us. Please do not continue to do so. Thank you.
Thank you.
David Blood, 250 North Maple. I mean, with all due respect to the neighbors of the pickleball courts at Glen. Nobody would mistake the pickleball noise for gunshots or cannon fire, and it has never been played 12 hours in any given day. Even the year that we played, that we had that many hours to play. This year, we rarely play more than 4 or 5 hours a day at most. So I just think that we've heard a bit of hyperbole here about the loudness of the sound and its long-term effects. I just would like to enter a opposing opinion. The other issue is, unfortunately, the Glen courts are probably the best courts in Bergen County. So the suggestion that we play at Bel Air, which is marginal, or we go back to the Y, which no longer supports pickleball, or of course we can go out of town, but Montvale, Wyckoff, none of the courts are anywhere near as good as our courts. So we obviously like to play there. And lastly, somebody suggested that half of the people playing now are out-of-towners. They're not. Clearly, they're not. There may be one or two who have managed to get pickleball badges, but it's certainly not 50%. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Simon Lee, 321 Eastbrook. I'm also here about the pickleball issue. It kind of breaks my heart to hear a lot of this right now, mainly because I think Ridgewood is just a wonderful town. And I hear very targeted attacks on different people because of this issue in regards to pickleball. Quite frankly, the people who are living on there are being affected, or else we won't be here. And we won't continuously coming out because it is an issue. If you hear us talk about something, we're only talking about the pickleball and the way the sound generates. We're also next to Glen School. They also have a soccer field. They also play all different types. We're not talking about that. The specific type of noise that this generates really does get under your nerve, under your skin, and it just continues to go at it. Now, I understand we're not against the game. We're not against the people who like to play the game. It's just the fact that it's located there brings a lot of issue to that whole area. And I wish there was a way that we could see to locate it where it would be beneficial for everyone. And I just don't see why everyone is losing a lot of time here fighting about it in the first place, really. But it does hurt us a lot in regards to that sound constantly penetrating. The other thing is we're talking about convenience of the people who are playing. But if you think about it in convenience, the people who are there have no convenience to, if I want to have someone come for, having something in the backyard or inviting people, that sound constantly makes it very difficult for even thinking about it. And additionally, I know they're not playing the whole time, but it's like being on call. You don't know when someone's going to be playing when you open it up. You don't know how long they could be playing if you open it up all the way. I personally would prefer, if we could find a better solution, to move it into a different location. But if that's not the case, extending the hours really just makes it... It's very difficult now, as it is, and I would really like it if the council could consider a better alternative so that we are not at odds with each other. And this is not about age either. It's just about the way that sport is and the way that generates the sound. So being that close to residents, it is an issue. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else?
Hello, again. Lillian Blood, 250 North Maple. My husband spoke a few moments ago. He's a physician. He's a cardiologist. He's been Columbia trained. He works at Columbia. He still works at 81 years of age. He's still a practicing physician. I asked him what he was going to say tonight, and he said, I'm not going to say anything because I don't think it's going to make a difference. These people have already decided what they're going to do, and that's what they're going to do. So why waste your time, Lillian? But I do waste my time because I feel it's not fair. You have to realize that having people who don't live near the courts, Mr. Lee does, but the other people do not live near the courts. If you looked at their homes on your town map, they live on the other side of the field. There's no way that Gladys or Alan can hear the pickleball players in the morning. There's just no way. They live too far to hear that noise. The other day when Dave and I finished playing, we walked over and we saw where Gail was out raking her lawn. She had no idea that there had been 12 people just playing pickleball there because she was out raking her lawn. This is an issue that they've been bringing up over and over because for some reason they had somebody's ear who says, oh yes, let's accommodate these residents. Mr. Lee is different. He is new. However, he bought his house from the Carol, I can't remember her last name, Klingus, at a good price. Why? It was next to a pickleball field. He did not lose money, or they did not lose money at selling their house. So when you have a house near a field, near a tennis court, you're going to expect noise. Noise is happy sounds. If we don't hear, we're not as happy as we have our hearing. We wear hearing aids, we wear other devices so our hearing is better. I would like you to really consider opening the courts on Monday and Fridays. They don't have to be open all day, but they should be open a few hours each of those days so that we can play on Monday and Fridays, especially if we have rain the rest of the time. There's no reason why sound is different on a Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday, a Thursday. Why, arbitrarily, was Monday and Friday decided no pickleball on Glen Courts? And Susan and the rest of the council, I thank you for listening to me. And you probably won't hear from me again because I know your decision has already been made and it's been done behind, well, I don't know when you did it, but I've heard the decision has already been made, but I am still here trying to fight for the right thing to do.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, we're going to close public comment, and I'm just going to respond to a couple of things. I just want to point out that nobody has anyone's ear. This village council the village council represents I'm sorry. Thank you, Siobhan. The village council represents everyone in our community. There's no one who is getting any special treatment or anything else. And I have to agree with Mr. Lee. I'm sad by this. I'm sad that our neighbors, our fellow citizens, are having this issue. But in fairness, I don't recall who it was who mentioned that this has been a complaint almost from the gate when pickleball started. We've tried to remediate the sound unsuccessfully, and it was a group effort of representatives from the pickleball community, I believe 3 of them, the village council, and the neighbors who came up with the hours. It was the hours that were worked on collectively, and not only that, when the hours were agreed upon, we even extended them further for the pickleball folks. So I think in fairness, this is a compromise, and a compromise is maybe painful for both sides, but everybody's got to give a little. And we're neighbors, we're in a community together. We have to understand and have a modicum of compassion for one another. I find this whole thing to be just almost heartbreaking, that folks don't care about each other, and that something is more important than each other. We should care more about each other. I find this whole thing almost upsetting. But these are hours that were worked on. It was a compromise, and it was meeting after meeting after meeting, and I believe the village manager was there. Former Councilwoman Walsh was there, myself, and representatives from both sides. This was the compromise. And again, even at the compromise, the compromise was extended. The hours were actually extended from the compromise. And I know that folks say, well, we were only playing a couple of hours, but y'all aren't the only ones playing there, I think. I think that there's other folks going there and playing as well. There are lots of pickleball players. I think we have a lot of passes that have been sold. We didn't just sell 5 court passes. In any event, and then I just wanted to touch base real quick with Shedler. We do have a comprehensive plan. We had neighbors, an ad hoc committee that worked on that for, I don't know, several months, and that nobody turned over anything to SHPO. SHPO has jurisdiction over historic property, and so we didn't relinquish jurisdiction. We work very closely with SHPO, and ultimately, the project is in place, and we anticipate with very few modifications that SHPO will be approving everything. And if for that reason it was trifurcated to make the application more manageable. And as for the record, the historic Zabriskie Shedler House has been on the historic element of the Ridgewood Master Plan for decades, and the Historic Preservation Commission representatives were the ones that filed for the certificate of eligibility for both the property and the house. And it's an important piece of property, important part of Ridgewood's history, and we know we'll get there, and we are working on financials that are a little bit clearer for everyone to understand. We appreciate that some didn't understand that appropriations were not expenditures, and we'll certainly make it sure that it's clear for everyone. And I think maybe that is it. So with that, we will go to the village manager for her report.
Okay, tomorrow, November 11th, is Veterans Day. There's a Veterans Day service sponsored by American Legion Post number 53. It will take place at 11 a.m. in Memorial Park at Venice Square. Please come and join us there. In recognition of the federal holiday, village offices and departments will be closed. There will be no garbage or recycling pickup on this holiday, and the recycling center will also be closed. Please check your garbage and recycling pickup schedules, as they may have changed. A flood education seminar on floods and floodplains will be presented on Wednesday, November 17th at 7:30 p.m. here in the courtroom of Village Hall by our engineering department. There will be a time for questions and answers. This presentation is timely given the flooding which occurred in the village of Ridgewood during Hurricane Ida. We will soon be submitting a final application, Part 1, to respond to the diversion of the South Broad Street Playground. Using grant funding from Green Acres, Ridgewood purchased the Habernickel property for $7,200,000 with a certified market value of $6,730,000. The Trust for Public Land made a donation of $500,000 at the time of purchase. Over the past several years, Green Acres has made payments to Ridgewood totaling $2,450,000, with $415,000 remaining to be dispersed to Ridgewood when the diversion is resolved. The Ridgewood Farmers Market is organized by the Chamber of Commerce. It's open Sundays from 8:30 a.m. to 2 p.m., and it will be our dates have been extended through November, weather permitting. Leave schedules, again, unfortunately not many leaves have fallen yet. I'm getting concerned because I think they're all going to fall at once. But just remember that the dates on your yellow postcards are for leaf placement only. Our leaf pickup crew will come after those leaf placement dates, and then do not place leaves out for pickup past the leaf placement date on the postcard. Instead, wait for your next leaf placement date to put out additional leaves for pickup. December 13th at 7 p.m. in the Village Hall courtroom, Bob Rooney, our Chief Financial Officer, will give a presentation on municipal budgeting. There will also be a chance for questions and answers. Please attend this presentation, which will be a great introduction to our budget meetings, which will be held in late January or early February. November 25th and 26th, village offices and departments will be closed in observance of the Thanksgiving holiday. There will be no garbage or recycling pickup on Thanksgiving. On Friday, November 26th, garbage and recycling will be picked up, and the recycling center will also be open from 8 a.m. to 12 noon. The holidays are right around the corner, and the Ridgewood Guild Winterfest starts this season on Saturday, November 27th at noon. The horse-drawn wagon ride picks up on Dayton Street and Memorial Park at Venice Square and then provides fun for all. Downtown for the Holidays, sponsored by the Ridgewood Chamber of Commerce, will take place Friday, December 3rd in the Ridgewood Central Business District from Maple Avenue up to Broad Street. There will be something for everyone. This year's theme is Trucks on Holiday. with large village vehicles decorated for the holidays, a trackless train, the Grinch, lots of music, dancing, fire pits, and make your own s'mores. Keep your eye out for Santa, who will visit the decorated trucks. Village Council upcoming meetings are broadcast live on Village website and Channel 34 on FiOS. They are also on YouTube. Upcoming meetings are December 1st at 7:30 p.m. is a Village Council Public Works session. December 8th is our Village Council public meeting at 8 o'clock. January 5th, 2022 is our Village Council Public Works session at 7:30. And then January 12th, 2022 is the Village Council public meeting at 8 o'clock. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilwoman Perrin?
Thank you, Mayor. Ms. Maylender, when did you say the budgeting session?
December 13th at 7 o'clock.
Here in this room?
Here in this room, correct.
Thank you. The Chamber of Commerce met this morning, and we discussed the parking permits, which we'll be voting on tonight. And we also discussed whether stores could stay open at night. And usually that's not financially feasible for the merchants, but over downtown for the holidays, at least 2 store owners said that they will be open during the festivities. Merchants are finding that supply chain problems are affecting them with things like paper bags and gift boxes. They also asked, when are the holiday decorations going up? Do we know?
They usually go up either the week of Thanksgiving or the week right after. So.
And also, they asked if the village could augment the number of snowflakes. We have those decorations, if that's possible.
Probably not, because they're not purchased. So we need to budget if we want to do that. So we'll do, I mean, if that's something you want, we can discuss it during the 2022 budget.
Okay. And then CBDAC, the Central Business District Advisory Committee, meets tomorrow via Zoom. Guests are welcome. We'll be discussing several different things, but the main topic will be the master plan with regard to our downtown area. Green Ridgewood is putting on another Styrofoam Collection that will be January 8th. So if you received a lot of gifts that were packed in Styrofoam over Christmas or the holidays, that's a good time to recycle them, and the rain date will be January 22nd. We are planning for Earth Day, which will be April 10th, Earth Day and Daffodil Fest. We are working on Adopt a Drain because of the flooding questions that have come up. And let's see. The Open Space Committee will be having a tour of the Habernickel Park on Saturday, November 13th at 10 a.m., and Fred Jubitz, one of our members, will be leading that. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Reynolds?
Thank you, Mayor. I haven't had any committee meetings since last week, but I just kind of want to remind everybody, if they want to have any involvement in the master plan, to sign up at, what is it? It's ridgewoodvillagemp.org. They ask a question every week. People have been answering, although I've noticed that it's like 185 people have answered each week, which is not a lot when you have 25,000 residents. So just for example, this week's question was, what is your favorite event hosted by either the village or one of its many active community groups? And besides answering the question, you know, you can make comments and say what you want the village to look like. The master plan is 20, 30, 40, 50 years down the road. It's not really just for us, it's for future generations, what we want Ridgewood to be. And this is such an important document. I really impress upon everybody to get involved and give your opinions. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. The Shade Tree Commission met yesterday and discussed the 22 tree wells that are going to be rehabbed downtown. That project's moving along. There's been 12 trees that they've identified that could survive if they're rehabbed also without having to pull out the tree, but that project would go on in the spring. And then there will be the commission would like to give a presentation to the council on January 5th. So if you could kind of make a note, Heather, and put that on the agenda for that point to discuss right before the budget the importance of trees, what the commission has done thus far in the past few years. And it seems like there's a lot of community support for trees. They come out during master plan discussions. People have said it's very important for a whole host of reasons. So I think it's time for the village council to actually get behind that and start funding some of these very important resources that it seems the entire community is behind. So that is coming up in budget season, and the Shade Tree Commission would just like to make a point as to why these initiatives should be funded. And that's everything I have. Thank you.
Thank you. I just have a few items. First, Diwali was lots of Diwali celebrations around town these days. The Ridgewood Indian community celebrated Saturday evening at Ridgewood High School. It was a little bit of a smaller celebration in the past, and as such, only a handful of people were invited, and next year I hope the whole council is invited. But it was a wonderful, wonderful cultural event, wonderful food, beautiful clothing, and it was just a terrific event for everyone, and great music, right?
Yep.
Okay. 3 new Eagle Scouts. Congratulations to Greg, Brian, and John. We actually Court of Honor, Eagle Scout Court of Honor, happened Monday evening at First Presbyterian Church. And there were 3 new Eagle Scouts. Greg built picnic tables for the Art Institute, and so everyone could go and enjoy lunch during art classes. And Brian built raised gardening beds for GW and also donated some gardening tools. And John he's a Bergen Catholic High School student, and he created a beautiful bench memorial to Athletic Director Jack McGovern, who had passed away in 2019, and it was an absolutely beautiful tribute to him. Additionally, we have, Library Board of Trustees will be meeting a little bit earlier on Tuesday, not our usual 7:30 meeting. We'll be meeting in more of a closed session. We're noticing that to review the responses for the lease of Peace Library. We've had a number of responses for that. We're really excited at the opportunities moving forward. So we're going to be reviewing presentations from each of the respondents, and ultimately that will come back to this village council, and so we're really excited about that. It's a great opportunity for the library. And it's never too early to remind everyone, as the official spokesperson for the Ridgewood Fire Department, Adopt a Hydrant program, as the weather starts to chill, and we know snow may be in our near future, although the squirrel tails are rather small. Adopt a Hydrant program, you can go to the Ridgewood Fire Department website and fill out a form, anyone who has a hydrant nearby their home. If you're already clearing it out, I think we found somebody during our Glen Sidewalk walk that was an Adopt a Hydrant person who had actually never gotten the certificate from the fire department. But if you have a fire hydrant near your home and you want to clear it of snow and debris during the fall and winter, just to make certain that fire hydrants are accessible to firefighters in the event of an emergency, you can fill out the form and get an official certification, and the fire department will be comfortable and confident knowing that our fire hydrants are clear in the event of an emergency. And I think that is it. And with that, we will go on to our rest of our meeting once I get my... Okay, great.
We have no ordinances for introduction for Ridgewood Water public hearings.
Thank you. I move the clerk read Ordinance 3874 by title on second reading of the public hearing thereon be open.
Second.
Perrin?
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
And Newton?
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of Ordinance 3874?
A bond ordinance providing for various water utility improvements in response to damage caused by Hurricane Ida in and by the Village of Ridgewood in the County of Bergen, New Jersey, appropriating $75,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of 75,000 bonds or notes of the village to finance the costs thereof.
Public hearing is now open. I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Seaton,
Yes.
Newton.
Yes.
I move that Ordinance 3874 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Seaton,
Yes.
and Newton.
Yes.
Resolutions. The following resolutions, numbered 21-326 through 21-333, will be adopted by a consent agenda with one vote by the Village Council. They will be read by title only. Award contract, asbestos abatement, 451 Goffle Road. Title 59 approval, servicing and repair of potable water pumping facilities. Award contract, servicing and repair of potable water pumping facilities. Title 59 approval, servicing and repairing of electric source. Award contract, servicing and repairing of electric source. Award contract under National Cooperative Purchasing Alliance contract. Security cameras and access control system. New Ridgewood Water Headquarters. Authorize additional award under Bergen County Cooperative Purchasing Program contract by Bituminous Concrete and various road repair materials. And authorize change order Ridgewood Water Headquarters. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Seaton,
Yes.
and Newton.
Yes. I move the first reading of Ordinance 3879.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Seaton,
Yes.
and Newton.
Yes. So ordered. Will the clerk please read Ordinance 3879 by title?
An ordinance by the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood amending Chapter 1 and Chapter 190 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood, authorizing and encouraging electric vehicle supply service equipment, EVSE, make-ready parking spaces, and establishing standards for their design and implementation.
I move that Ordinance 3879 be adopted on first reading and that December 8th, 2021 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Seaton,
Yes.
and Newton.
Yes. I move the first reading of Ordinance 3880.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Seaton,
Yes.
and Newton.
Yes. So ordered. Will the clerk please read Ordinance 3880 by title?
An ordinance to amend Ordinance 3830 to fix salaries, wages, and other compensation, and to establish the employee agreement of certain non-union officers and employees of the Village of Ridgewood, County of Bergen, and State of New Jersey for the year 2021.
I move that Ordinance 3880 be adopted on first reading and that December 8th, 2021 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
I second the motion.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Seaton,
Yes.
and Newton.
Yes. I move the first reading of Ordinance 3881.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Seaton,
Yes.
and Newton.
Yes. So ordered. Will the clerk please read Ordinance 3881 by title?
An ordinance to fix salaries, wages, and other compensation of non-union employees of the Village of Ridgewood, County of Bergen, and State of New Jersey for the year 2022.
I move that Ordinance 3881 be adopted on first reading and that December 8th, 2021 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Seaton,
Yes.
and Newton.
Yes. I move the first reading of Ordinance 3882.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Seaton,
Yes.
and Newton.
Yes. So ordered. Will the clerk please read Ordinance 3882 by title?
An ordinance to fix salaries, wages, and other compensation, and to establish the employee agreement of certain non-union officers and employees of the Village of Ridgewood, County of Bergen, and State of New Jersey for the year 2022.
I move that Ordinance 3882 be adopted on first reading and that December 8th, 2021 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
I second the motion.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Seaton,
Yes.
and Newton.
Yes. I move the first reading of Ordinance 3883.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Seaton,
Yes.
and Newton.
Yes, so ordered. Will the clerk please read Ordinance 3883 by title?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 265 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood, Vehicles and Traffic, at Section 265-33, Permit Parking.
I move that Ordinance 3883 be adopted on first reading and that December 8th, 2021 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Seaton,
Yes.
and Newton.
Yes, I move the first reading of Ordinance 3884.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Seaton,
Yes.
and Newton.
Yes, so ordered. Will the clerk please read Ordinance 3884 by title?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 145 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood, Fees, at Section 145-6, enumeration of fees relating to code chapters.
I move that Ordinance 3884 be adopted on first reading and that December 8th be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Seaton,
Yes.
and Newton.
Yes. I move the clerk read Ordinance 3875 by title on second reading and that the public hearing thereon be opened.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Seaton,
Yes.
and Newton.
Yes, will the clerk please read the title of Ordinance 3875?
A bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements in response to damage caused by Hurricane Ida in and by the Village of Ridgewood and the County of Bergen, New Jersey, appropriating $1,564,500 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $1,490,000 bonds or notes of the village to finance part of the costs thereof.
The public hearing is now open. I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
I move that...
Perrin,
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Seaton,
Yes.
and Newton.
Yes.
I move that Ordinance 3875 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Seaton,
Yes.
and Newton.
Yes. I move the clerk read Ordinance 3876 by title on second reading and that the public hearing thereon be open.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Seaton,
Yes.
and Newton.
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of Ordinance 3876?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 165 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood, Garbage, Rubbish, Refuse, and Recycling, at Section 165-18, Definitions.
The public hearing is now open. I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Seaton,
Yes.
and Newton.
Yes.
I move that Ordinance 3876 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Seaton,
Yes.
and Newton.
Yes. I move the clerk read Ordinance 3877 by title on second reading and that the public hearing thereon be open.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Seaton,
Yes.
and Newton.
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of Ordinance 3877?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 165 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood, Garbage, Rubbish, Refuse, and Recycling, at Section 165-19, Container Specifications and Set Out Requirements.
The public hearing is now open. I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Seaton,
Yes.
and Newton.
Yes.
I move that Ordinance 3877 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
I second the motion.
Perrin,
Yes.
Reynolds,
Yes.
Seaton,
Yes.
and Newton.
Yes.
Resolutions. The following resolutions, number 21-334 through 21-356, with the exception of Resolution 21-349, which will be considered off of the consent agenda, will be adopted by a consent agenda with one vote by the Village Council. They will be read by title only. Award contract, Ford Escape Building Department. Award contract under the Interlocal Purchasing System, Village Council Meeting Production Services. Title 59, Approval. Concession Refreshment Services, Graden Pool. Award contract, concession refreshment services, Graden Pool. Title 59 approval, Shedler Property Berm Construction. Award contract, Shedler Property Berm Construction. 21-340 was removed from the agenda. Award professional services contract, archaeological survey for Zabriskie Shedler House. Award professional services contract, Valley Hospital, Department of Community Health and Community Benefit, Public Health and Nursing Services. Authorized shared services agreement, barbershop, beauty shop, and nail salon inspections. Authorized change order, environmental technical support for Hudson Street Garage project closeout. Authorized change order, crossing guard services. Authorized additional amount award contract for tree removals, West Glen Avenue sidewalk project. Authorized 2021 budget transfers. Authorized application for and accept grant funding from Bergen County Municipal Alliance Grant 2022 to 2023. Accept donation, tree well refurbishments.
Oh, I thought we were taking that.
I'm sorry, it is. I'm sorry. That one is coming off of the consent agenda. I apologize. That is not on the consent agenda. Accept donation, benches in Central Business District and Public Library. Extend time frame for grab-and-go parking spaces. Authorize continuation of dining corrals. Extend use of dining corrals in Central Business District. Approve 2021 holiday parking plan in Central Business District. Authorize release of escrowed funds and irrevocable letters of credit, Chestnut Village LLC. Accept 2020 audit. Approve 2020 corrective action plan. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Perrin?
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
And Knudsen?
Yes.
Okay. 21-349. Whereas Councilwoman Pamela Perrin is a supporter of environmental issues and green initiatives in the Village of Ridgewood. And whereas the Village of Ridgewood will be commencing the project of tree well refurbishment in the Central Business District. And whereas Councilwoman Pamela Perrin would like to make a $1,000 donation to the project of tree well refurbishment in the Central Business District. And whereas Councilwoman Pamela Perrin currently has no applications before any Village of Ridgewood boards or committees, now therefore be it resolved by the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood that the Village of Ridgewood hereby accepts this gift offered by Councilwoman Pamela Perrin. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Laura. And Councilwoman Perrin is going to recuse herself from this vote. So Reynolds?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
And Knudsen?
Yes, and I would like to say thank you to Councilwoman Perrin. Thank you.
Resolution 21-357. Whereas Village Council has been made aware that a resident property owner filed an application for a permit to improve their property with an addition to a bathroom for property located at 128 Ackerman Avenue in the Village of Ridgewood. And whereas the permit application review by village staff notified the property owners, James and Lorraine Reynolds, that a minor variance pursuant to NJSA 40:55D-70C would be necessary to procure approval of the proposed addition to the bathroom. And whereas based upon the review of the village staff and the determination that a C variance was needed, the property owner filed an application to the Ridgewood Zoning Board of Adjustment for the prescribed variance relief. Filing this application caused the property owner to incur certain fees as follows. Application for C variances, $410. Escrow fee, $800. Certified mailings to property owners, $178.45. Architectural services, $750. Total amount, $2,138.45. And whereas at the scheduled public hearing before the zoning board, the property owner was advised that the zoning review conducted by village staff was wrong and that it mistakenly advised the property owner that a C variance was needed when the additional proposed construction would require a use or D variance, for which the application is more costly and approval is much more difficult. If the property owner had known from the initial review for the permit by village staff that a use or D variance was required, they would have discontinued the process of seeking approval for the expansion to the bathroom and not paid any fees, which due to the mistake of the village staff they ultimately incurred. And whereas the property owner has requested the reimbursement of the fees paid by them as a result of the mistaken review and directions given by the village staff in the amount of $2,138.45, the village council has reviewed same and agreed to the reimbursement. Now therefore be it resolved by the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood, County of Bergen, and State of New Jersey, that the property owner as identified above of certain residential property located at 128 Ackerman Avenue in the Village of Ridgewood is to be reimbursed the costs they incurred as a result of the mistaken review and directions given to them by village staff in the amount of $2,138.45, and be further resolved that the Chief Financial Officer has certified that funds are available in account number 1-01-55-002-009. Councilwoman Reynolds is going to recuse herself from this vote. Perrin, I'm sorry, I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Perrin,
Yes.
Seaton,
Yes.
and Knudsen.
Yes.
Resolution 21-358. Whereas the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood adopted Resolution number 21-193 and Resolution number 21-238 to allow for extended days and hours for pickleball play at both the Glen Pickleball Courts and at the Bel Air Tennis Courts, which have been retrofitted to allow for pickleball play. And whereas the pickleball players have requested that the days and hours for pickleball play be the same as those for tennis players, so that they may enjoy playing pickleball every day of the week with extended hours. And whereas the Village Council has taken into account the neighbors living near the pickleball courts and wishes to allow them to continue to have some hours during each day that pickleball is not being played, so that they may open their windows in their homes and enjoy their backyards without the sound of pickleball play taking place. And whereas the neighbors have requested that the days and hours for pickleball remain the same as they are currently and that they not be increased. Now therefore be it resolved by the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood that in order for there to be a compromise for the competing interests of both the pickleball players and the neighbors, the hours days of pickleball play in Ordinance number 3853 shall continue to be relaxed, and the days hours of pickleball play shall be continued according to the following specific schedule. Pickleball play at the Glen Pickleball Court shall be permitted as follows. The day is Sunday, hours of play 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Day Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, hours of play 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Day Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. There shall be no pickleball play at the Glen Pickleball Courts on Monday and Friday. And be it further resolved that pickleball play at the Bel Air Tennis Courts, which will be retrofitted to allow for pickleball play, shall only be permitted on Monday and Tuesday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And be it finally resolved that these days and hours shall remain in effect until such time as they are modified by resolution of the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Perrin?
I'm voting against this measure because we have a state-of-the-art pickleball court. It is an amenity that should be used to its fullest extent and to benefit the most people. We have instituted several measures to mitigate the sound of the balls and to accommodate the neighbors. I want to thank the neighbors who have come to speak here because that really brought home to me the reality of their anguish. It also confirmed for me how important public comment is. We've had a robust, well, I wouldn't quite call it conversation, but both sides have given their experience and their thoughts, and it's been very helpful to me as a council person. And that means to me that one day we should increase public comment and allow for remote public comment so that more people can engage in our governing process. But back to pickleball. I am voting against this because I would prefer to see the council take additional steps to mitigate the sound and increase the hours to equate with tennis hours.
Reynolds?
I'm going to vote yes because I definitely appreciate everybody coming here and making your comments. I can feel for both sides, but I have to say that pickleball players can play 5 days a week on our state-of-the-art courts. I truly believe the Parks and Rec Department and the Village Council that approved these courts made a mistake. It wasn't egregious. They didn't do it on purpose. It just wasn't known. Now it's very well known and documented that a pickleball court is recommended to be built anywhere from 300 to 500 feet away from somebody's house. If the council in 2019 would have known that, I don't believe they would have voted for this. It is there. We should use it. I think it was a great compromise that everybody came together. There's still 45 hours a week that you can play. I do believe going forward, we need to find another solution. We need to find another location, if possible. 300 to 500 feet from a house is going to be hard to find, but if there is something out there and we can build it, I would like to. So I'm going to vote. I mean, we've already extended the hours from the original compromise, so I think this is more than enough, and I agree to keep the hours the same.
Seaton?
I'm voting yes with the understanding that the village staff is going to work on coming up with some solutions to present to us in time for budget season, whatever those solutions are. I'd like to see those implemented. I'd like to see what they would be, and then extend pickleball hours to make them the same as tennis once we have a better understanding, and maybe we do a little bit more work to see what we could do to bring a little bit of relief to the neighbors, and then review the hours at that time again.
And Newton?
So I am in support of keeping the hours that were a result of a compromise between neighbors, representatives from the pickleball court. I do want to say Councilwoman Reynolds just made a comment, and it struck me that she's wrong. She said the village council didn't know, or had they known. This rests squarely on the village council and Parks and Rec, because we should have known. There was ample information out in the world that told us that these pickleball courts should not be placed in this location. In hindsight, 2020, I can pull up article after article after article dating back as early as 2012, 13, 14, 15, years before we installed these pickleball courts. It would never have occurred to me to look for those until we endeavored to mitigate the sound unsuccessfully, I'll add. So, not that you're wrong, but we should have known. Parks and Rec should have known. The recommendation should have come with that little piece of information, that there was a ton of information out there. And I can't speak to what someone else hears. I can't speak to what someone else experiences. I can't speak to what someone's existence in their home or their backyard. I can't speak to that. Hearing is something personal. The level of anxiety that comes with noise is something personal. Some people are more sensitive to noise than others. But this is a compromise, and I do believe that we did not notify the neighbors. And I said last week we notified neighbors when we were putting sidewalks, we notified neighbors about small nodes, we notified neighbors when we're changing parking configurations. We didn't notify neighbors that the tennis courts were being changed over to pickleball courts. That's on us. The village council has to take responsibility for that. And I'll add that that is probably the reason I'm so saddened by this issue between fellow residents and neighbors, because it is on us. And so I'm sorry for that. But I am going to support the continuing of the current hours, yes. Thank you.
Okay. That's it.
Oh, with that, sorry, that was my cue. Back to public comment, not to exceed 5 minutes per person. Step up, microphone, name and address for the record.
Yeah, Rorik Hallaby, 1 Franklin. I'm delighted to hear we have a comprehensive plan for Shedler. Could you please give me a copy? Do you know where it is?
So I'm going to respond. As you know, this is not Q&A,
Yeah.
but I'm going to respond. It is in the projects folder on the village website. The plan has
No.
been there. It continues to be there. It is a comprehensive plan. It is one that is trifurcated and currently before SHPO, and that will be the end of my response. So if you have your couple of
Now,
minutes.
will it also tell me what the house will be used for? Will it also tell me what the house will cost to operate and maintain? I don't think so. Now, I also appreciate the kindness of the dais by simplifying for us idiots the difference in appropriations and spending. We do know the difference. This is a $7 million project. The money has been appropriated, may not have been spent. Okay, $4 million has been spent. And I can tell you, no taxing authority has ever appropriated a certain amount of money to be spent on a project where it ended up spending less money than that was appropriated. And the way this council works, with no plan, I will bet my last dollar, by the time we're through with Shedler, the total spending will be far in excess of $7 million. Now, it also makes me think as far as public comments. Either you respond and one can have a discussion or not, and that has to be applied across the board. Also, what is, I think, is not fair, and frankly, I think it's cowardly, is to wait until the end for the mayor to respond to comments without giving a chance to the people who made the comments to respond. If you're going to have a two-way street, which I think is a healthy thing to do, let's do it. Otherwise, if it's going to be public comments and no responses, then there should be no responses. And you cannot have responses in certain cases, no responses in other cases, and then or a zing at the end where people who made the comment cannot respond. That is not fair. To me, this is the work of a coward, not a strong person, frankly. So, please, I would like to see the comprehensive plan. I'd like to see the comprehensive plan. But one last comment, by the way, and I meant it kind of half-jokingly, but the more I think about it, I really would like the Village Council to speak to New Jersey Transit to stop them from blowing their horn between 8 o'clock at night and 6 o'clock in the morning. They are disturbing my sleep. Now, this is a stupid comment, but no more stupid than some of the comments I've heard. I mean, next thing I know, someone will say that pickleball causes cancer in people. I mean, this is silly. All the listing of bad things that pickleball will create and cause in people in the neighborhood is silly. Also, when you talk about 300 to 500 feet, how many locations in Ridgewood are there where you can put a pickleball that's separated by 300 to 500 feet from a house? And I think it's basically very, very bad. Also, always to blame the other people. This council does no wrong. This council does no wrong. It's like Trump. Trump, always blaming Obama. Always blaming Obama. This council is always blaming the previous administration, the previous council. I think this is not the right thing to do. I think this council should have the courage to stand up, admit its mistakes. I have yet to see that. I have yet to see that. Thank you. And by the way, I would love a copy of the comprehensive plan, if I can find it on the website, which is an impossible thing to have.
I didn't understand you, Rourke. I'm sorry. You must have you must have walked in.
I'm repeating. I would love to get a copy of a comprehensive plan for Shedler.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You have my email address. And by the way, when you say you respond to all your emails, you have yet to respond to one of mine. Not that my feelings are hurt, but you cannot say you respond to all your emails because you did not respond to any of mine. She doesn't respond to any of mine. He doesn't respond to any of mine. So you cannot say, oh, we respond to emails. That is not true. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'd better tell the truth.
A couple of things.
Just pull that microphone down a little, Lillian.
Oh, Lillian Blood, can you hear me okay? Lillian Blood, 250 North Maple Avenue. I don't see why you didn't want to revisit your extension of hours, you know, that you did. I don't remember exactly whether it was June or when that you did it. But the problem with the compromise that happened back in, I don't know, March maybe, was because we had no hours at all. And we were afraid of you, Susan, that we would not get any hours. So the group of 9 of us that were working on trying to get the courts reopened after they'd been closed on the 31st of December was trying to get some hours. And we figured if we get some hours, then we would be able to work and get more hours. That's what we were hoping for. And I would like for any of you, for Michael, for Lorraine, for Pam, for Heather, for whoever else is up there, to come over. Tomorrow morning we have 7 people signed up to play from 9 to 11. All Ridgewood residents, all willing to play. And we would like you to listen right at the court center. Hear what happens there. Then go to Simon Lee's house and hear how the sound is there. Then go to Gail Howard's house and see what you hear there. Then go to Alan and Gladys's house and see what you can hear there. Then go to Judy Mack's house and see what you hear there. I don't think you will hear the sound that you're thinking that they hear. And I know you just said a minute ago you can't know what someone else is hearing. But if you can't hear the sound at all, you can hear nothing. It's silence. The other issue that I would like is that people don't go monitoring the tennis courts and so forth. Why monitor us on the pickleball courts? I don't care if you monitor us. I have a badge. I'm happy to have a badge. But at the same time, and I would like to put a sign-up sheet there and have people check off when they're playing. Today we had 12 people playing. Tomorrow only 7 people have signed up to play. We don't have a lot of people playing. And at our age, we don't play all day. We're not playing from 9 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And if you gave us or took hours from those days, especially in the winter weather, and gives us Monday and Fridays, we'd be very happy. If you could take an hour from Tuesday night or 2 hours from Tuesday morning or a couple hours from Wednesday or Thursday or Saturday or Sunday and give them Monday and Friday, there are people who have long weekends that would like to play on Friday or Monday. And there's people who work. One of the people who worked on our committee, Diane, is a dental hygienist. She works those days. She cannot work. She cannot play because Monday and Fridays the courts are closed. And there's no reason for it. Silence isn't any different on one day or noise any different on a Monday or a Friday. And I always get nervous when I come up here and I never know all the things I want to say. But I think I've said it all maybe right now. Do you have any questions for me? Have you ever been over there watching us play in the afternoon or the morning? Michael?
I actually went by Saturday.
On Saturday you were there?
Yeah, and nobody was there.
And no one was
So
there.
I didn't get to hear
I know.
anything.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. There's a lot of time when there's no one there. And here you have built these wonderful courts. Maybe they was in the wrong place, but maybe there was no other place. Maybe that was why they were built there. The courts had been tennis and pickleball for a couple of years. Did you know that? The courts were both things. Judy knows well because tennis was right in her backyard, and she's a tennis instructor.
I think that we're going to stop. Wait, everybody, time out. Point of order. Time out.
I'm just
We're not
saying
going to. We can't. Lily,
Okay,
just hang
well,
on one
I'll
second.
stop that.
We can't call out Judy and make a suggestion that she's saying isn't true anyway. Let's not call out neighbors by name.
Okay, let me just
Okay.
leave it go. There are people who teach tennis on the tennis courts, and I'll leave it at that. Okay?
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else?
This is Judy Mack, 330 East Brook. So This is the second time I've heard that I'm a tennis player, a coach or a tennis teacher. I wish I was, but I'm not. I can barely play tennis really well and beat anybody up, but I love tennis, yes, but what does that have to do with anything? I mean, the issue here has been beaten to death. So I just want to make sure that I'm not a tennis coach, I'm a tennis player, and I do not coach or teach in any Ridgewood courts or anywhere else. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm curious to know what I
Just
missed.
your name and address for the
Gladys
record.
Chenetz, 632 Eastbrook Road. I'm just curious to know if the courts were empty on Saturday morning, and Saturday is a day that we can play, or pickleball players can play. Why don't you just play on Saturday? Why don't you play the times that you say people are not playing? What is the insistence on the 2 days that we then know that there's none of that noise? Why are those days so important? I really don't understand what's going on. I do appreciate the fact that you feel as bad about this as I do, because this is horrible. I mean, it is, in 50 years, also the first time I've ever been doing anything like this. But I just don't understand. If it's not so crowded, why not use the time that you've got? What's the insistence on making it even more time? That's my question.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Simon Lee, 321 Eastbrook. I would just like to thank the council for taking the time to at least listen and understand that the experience is different for different people, and that, you know, this is where we are currently, but I would really like to ask for the betterment of both the pickleball players and the neighbor, if we could look for another possible solution, you know, a better location possibly. So I would like to ask, this is really sad for me because, you know, I think we would be much more closer friends if it wasn't this issue, you know. Just thank you for considering, and I wish that, you know, you could look into possible other solutions. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. No one else? We'll close public comment. Everybody's good? We're good? All right, we're going to close public comment and take an adjournment.
So moved.
A motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Thank you.